Hey folks, it's Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. It's going to be my top 5 tweets a week review. April the 4th, 2010. First tweet, we're going to talk about Easter and Disneyland. And so today's Easter, happy Easter. Basically, these Christians don't believe in Easter any more than you do, which is Jesus rising from the dead. Because if they did, they wouldn't have allowed a bunny rabbit and searching for eggs to be now what we really do on Easter. Just like on Christmas, they wouldn't have turned it into Santa Claus. And basically, that's white man's way of not dealing with the issue. They know it's BS, but they just cover it up with something Disneyland. And when I say white, I don't necessarily mean people that aren't black. I'm talking about these whitey white goody two shoes that they always think they're doing good when they're really more evil than they realize. And so that's what they really want. They want Disneyland. They want the manicured life. They can't deal with reality. So they don't believe it anymore than you do. And plus, if they really believed it, they would live it. You would see it in their actions. And you don't see it. I very rarely see a Christian live like a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Very rarely. They just like to pretend they know what they're talking about. And then they run into somebody like me that actually does. And it messes their whole scheme of things up. And they don't like me. Next tweet, I've never heard silence because there's no such thing. There's only subtler levels of noise. And I'm not saying going around being a douchebag and say, oh, there's no such thing as silence when somebody says silence. It's just making a point that even when you sit quote unquote in silence compared to your normal day life, you'll start realizing there's a lot of noise going on. Noise in your head, noise around you, but we live on such gross levels that we don't even perceive it. And if you go to the woods, you'll find that I've never been in a moment where there was really truly complete silence. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that was more interesting than anything. Then that sort of leads into the second point. I know there's several musicians that watch this stuff, and so here's another point to the musicians. To be a great musician, first learn to fully appreciate silence. So once you start really understanding silence, then you can come back up, and create some beautiful music because you understand things. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, next tweet. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I was going to do a full video on it, but I decided just do a few moments on it. Lifting weights in progress. This week, or a couple weeks ago, I was struggling with trying to figure out how to make progress, how to follow baby steps in my weightlifting. And basically, I was at a weight, and I wanted to move to the next weight, or at least wanted to make progress, and I didn't know exactly how, so I moved up 5 pounds, and it just didn't feel right, And I was like, well, damn, I can't hardly move up any slower than that. There's not 2.5 pound weights, you know what I'm saying? So I eventually, I was doing 10 reps. I was like, why don't I just do 11 reps? You know what I'm saying? That's moving up. It's a baby step. You don't even gonna hardly notice doing one more rep. And so then the following, and whenever the next time I feel like progressing again, just move up to the next rep and next rep and next rep until, maybe hit like 20 reps. And then the next time I feel like moving up, instead of going to 21, come back to 10 reps, but move up 5 pounds. So it's a real soft and gentle way of moving up. So I thought some of you might be able to appreciate that and be able to use it. We talk in the next tweet, what's the purpose of school? And here's what, I was going to do a full video on this too, but I was like, I'm going to quit trying to do so many full videos and just make this a little bit better by talking about some things. I'm not saying I won't do some full videos, but I'm going to do less of them. What's the purpose of school? Basically, the purpose of school should be singular, to prepare you for life. If you look at little cubs out on an African safari, their mom, they're playing and they're getting prepared for the life they're going to be living. They're play fighting with each other because they're going to have to fight other lions, and they're also going to have to hunt things, and so they're sort of preparing themselves for real life. So school should not just be about academic stuff, and really very little of life is about academic stuff. Real life is about getting along with people, learn how to solve things. And how do you solve things in this life? You solve things by working with other people. And what does school teaches? It teaches the exact opposite. It teaches you're an individual. And I'm not trying to preach some socialist idea, but I'm saying we need to teach kids from the beginning how to work together. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being so. And then And you teach people so much stuff they don't even want to know, they don't care about. Like I said before, if you just allow people to learn what they're interested in, they're going to learn so much. How many times in life have you been trying to talk? I know there's times in life when the people try to teach me stuff I didn't want to learn, and I was just resistant as all hell. But there's times when I really truly wanted to learn something, and I had so much motivation you couldn't stop me. That's what you want to harness, the motivation to learn. And, teach people stuff they really want to learn. Kids want to know about dating. They want to know about sex. I'm not saying like elementary kids, but like teenagers, they want to know about dating and sex. Teach them about what they want to know about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying teach them a bunch of perverted stuff, but teach them what's life really about. What's the consequences? Go through it all. So this is what can happen if you do this, this. The choice is yours instead of telling them you shouldn't do this. I mean, they don't want to hear that bullshit. They don't want to. When you're thinking about the cute girl sitting 3 seats up from you, you really ain't too concerned with learning algebra. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, there was one thing I wanted to talk about this week too. I just remembered. Okay, I'll come back. And basically, they're always trying to prepare us for a PhD. PhDs are some of the biggest fuck-ups in the world. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to make us PhDs. They're overeducated. They haven't learned how to learn for themselves. Laozi said it. Those who know are not learned, and the learned do not know. So, and basically what he's saying, if you don't learn it for yourself from reality, you really don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just a bunch of book reading. Okay, so I was going to do a diagram, but I don't have time now. Basically, I just want to go through the core concept of what's really going on in this life. At the top understanding is everything is energy. Everything. Laws of physics, everything. And then from that, you say, well, what is that energy doing? And from that, the energy is growing, which that's, the falling away of growth kind of thinking. And then from there, you say, well, okay, life's about growth, then how do I achieve optimal growth? And that's that 9 principles. So it's energy, everything's energy. What's that energy doing? That energy is growing. And the next question is, how do you grow optimally? Use those 9 principles. So I just want to throw that out there. Next tweet, I'm God's bitch. And this is why men will never really understand falling the way of growth. They think they're a dominant force in this world, but they're not. Basically, to follow the way, you got to learn to be feminine, at least, like I say, 85% feminine, because you got to learn to feel. You got to feel the way the essence is moving you. And that's why I say I'm God's bitch, because basically, it ain't my will what I'm doing per se. It's me following, and when I say God, it's, of course, that's that energy we talked about, just a minute ago. That's what people call God, and then they, people screw it up over time, making it into a man and this, and they get all kinds of damn theories that are just crazy and whatnot. So anyway, I'm God's bitch. That's the way I look at it, and you should seek to be the feminine. I'm not saying be gay or nothing like that. I'm just saying you got to learn to be subtler so you can feel the way you're being moved by the essence of life, or God, however you want to look at it. This is an interesting quote I heard this week, and I thought it was really good. It seems as though the second half of a man's life is made up of nothing but the habits he accumulated during the first half. So, if you want your second half of your life to be decent, then you need to make sure you're setting up habits in your youth to make sure you have a decent life when you're older. And that's why I tell people that you don't want to do MMA when you're young, because you're really going to create a lot of injuries. It's going to make the second half of your life suck. So, be smart. Use your brain. Okay. Here's a lot of things. People always think more is less, or more is more. And I'm going to point out that it's not that way. People are always overeating all the time. They think, well, I need more. More is good for me, right? Well, when you're taking more of something else, you're losing something else. So what do you need as a human? The most important thing you need is air. You'll die quickest if you don't have air. Next thing you need water. You'll die quicker from not having water than you will food. And then the last thing you need is food. So notice what happens when you're eating a lot. What are you doing? You're putting a lot of food in your veins and in your body. Well, let's just say you're in your veins, and guess what can't be in there because the food's in there? The air. One thing I've noticed is, on my food training, is my breathing's a lot lighter. You know what I mean? It's like I'm able to take in, I'm getting the oxygen I need without my body having to force it. So, anyway, thought you might find that interesting. Until next week, later, folks.